It is time once again for the O Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, CW, and can I ask you a question? Can we get the Hurt Business back together, please? Can we do that? I think on the most recent episode of Raw, dating this episode on the December 19th, 2022 ep, Bobby Lashley was not in the building, and MVP showed up backstage to ask Adam Pearce a question. And Adam Pearce kind of brushed him away because he was dealing with the bloodline. And then they did a close-up on his face, not Adam Pearce, on MVP's face, and it had kind of a smirk on it. And everyone is assuming, and I think rightfully so, that he was, kind of reforming the Hurt Business, potentially expanding it. Maybe Omos will be in it. I don't know. Or I just read an article that maybe it was Dolph Ziggler who expanded to the Hurt Business. Whatever the case may be, can we get the Hurt Business back? I think they were doing great work during the Thunderdome era of WWE. Again, I wasn't watching at the time. I was merely reading news and updates. But everything I saw was really great. And I'm always here for Shelton Benjamin, Cedric Alexander. I think they have immense talent and it's not being utilized. A couple months ago, I believe they were both on Raw 2 weeks in a row with Bobby Lashley. So like Bobby had a match, and then Shelton had a match inexplicably with like Austin Theory, and then I believe Cedric had a match with Theory as well. I can't remember exactly who his opponent was. All three lost. And I was like, why? First of all, why is Shelton showing up? Because not that I didn't want him to show up, but out of nowhere, he was just back wrestling. And he hadn't been on TV in a while. And then Cedric Alexander, someone who hasn't been featured on Raw in like a year. he just pops up and wrestles. I believe it was either Theory or Mustafa Ali. I can't remember exactly, but he got buried, and so did Shelton. And Bobby didn't get buried, but he did lose. And I was like, are they setting these guys up to be the Hurt Business once again? Like they're all, it's like the old idea is like what is it, Chekhov's gun? You have to pay off something that you show in the first act, and I felt like that was the first act. Like here's all the members of Hurt Business doing their thing and not winning as solo entities. So maybe they reform, come back later, and start winning as a team. That was my understanding, but then it didn't really pan out like that. But again, this is the era of very, very long form storytelling. So the seeds have been planted, I think. The only thing is they haven't really kept up with it. So Shelton Benjamin showed up in a backstage poker tournament with Baron Corbin and all those people. And he didn't have and he was just sitting at the table chatting with someone, but he wasn't, prominently featured. I haven't seen him in a match since. And Cedric Alexander, he vanished again. He might be on main event. I don't know. But MVP showed up. He showed up sans Omos, and he wanted to talk about Lashley. I don't know. But with the bloodline running around, and they have some runway between now and WrestleMania, I said it so I can tag with it, they need another faction to kind of battle with. I don't know if bringing the Hurt Business back to lose to the bloodline is the best use of that faction, but I guess any reason to bring back the group and give them sort of the stage that they didn't have when they were running things in Thunderdome era, like give them the crowd. Let's hear what the crowd, how the crowd feels about the Hurt Business. I think everyone wants it. I think it ran its course way too fast, and they had some legs, right? MVP as a manager and sort of like this, not Don King. He wasn't smarmy like that. He was their own version of Paul Heyman. MVP can cut a great promo. MVP is a fantastic professional wrestler. MVP is, I believe, a pretty high-level jiu-jitsu practitioner as well. The man is a threat, and he's got the look. And I don't know if you guys ever watched MVP wrestle from the early 2000s, but he was really good. I think he had one of the more unique ring gears in the company. You can always tell how unique it is in how they put it in the 2K games or the wrestling games. He had his own special, like they had to make a completely new version of an outfit for him to put in the game. Like they had singlets, they had tights, they had shirts, and then they had this really like 3/4. They had to create this 3/4 thing that you can make. And I believe the first time he entered the game, they didn't even have a blank one for you. You had to either use his, or they had ones that had built-in patterns. I don't know. I'm gushing on MVP, but that group being, I think Bobby Lashley had great interviews about why the Hurt Business work, where he was like, yeah, we're professionals. We're not just, some thugs or whatever, just violence, where they would show up in suits. They had titles, they had gold, they carried themselves well, and they had some really great matches. I think, again, I didn't watch any of them, so maybe I should. It's hard to watch those Thunderdome, or I keep calling it the Thunderdome. I don't remember what it was called. It's hard to watch those old matches from 2020. It brings back just like the silence of the arena, with no crowds. It's just weird. But I might have to. Maybe I'll watch some matches from the Hurt Business on mute, and I'll put on some music, just so that it feels like I'm doing background stuff. But Bobby Lashley as champ did work. I did see some of his championship matches. I don't know, Bobby Lashley, Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin, they've done great work. And again, if you're going to add people to the Hurt Business, you could do a lot worse than Dolph Ziggler. That man is fantastic. Omos might be a little too green for that, but if you're going to, I mean, good on you. You can definitely have him as a Shield, but then wouldn't Bobby Lashley be that Shield? Bobby Lashley's the big dude in the group. Having a much bigger dude in the group is a little. It makes Bobby look small, oddly enough, and that's not a good look for the group. So I don't know if Omos fits in that. But given Triple H's sort of love for these factions, remember Triple H's entire career, his biggest successes came from factions. He has a soft spot for 3 to 5 person groups. Just look back on Triple H's career. His most success was when he was teamed up with other people. DX, Evolution, even the 2-man power trip with Stone Cold, the Authority, just name it. The man has a big soft spot for friends being belligerent. So that's why the Bloodline's running free. That's why Damage Control showed up. That's why the Hurt Business is probably coming back. That's why you see a lot of these returning wrestlers kind of pairing off and buddying up. And right before Survivor Series War Games, everyone was like a 5-6 person team, right? The Brawling Brutes, the new. Again, if the New Day doesn't like bring Big E back as like a manager while he can't wrestle, I don't know. It needs to happen. Anyway, what do you guys think of bringing the Hurt Business back? Who do you think they should fight first? Who do you think they should fight last? Let me know in the comments. Please subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified when new videos go up. Subscribe to the podcast on any podcast platform. This has been the O Wrestling Podcast. And once again, I appreciate you and your time. I'm your friend.
I'm your friend, but if I ever see you in the ring, I can beat you. Don't you know? Yeah.